It's Big Board Sports with Roger Wyland on 104.5 The Team.
Yankees rained out last night, and the Red Sox lose to the Astros, so now a game-and-a-half difference in the standings for those two teams. But a lot of issues going on with the Red Sox. Some guys scratched from the lineup last night. And who better to talk to than ESPN baseball analyst Tim Kurkjian joining us here, brought to you by the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Tim, appreciate you joining us, and we'll start right there with the Yankees. Rained out last night, so they get the start tonight with Sonny Gray. A lot has been talked about the issues with their starting pitching and where they might go. I know we're a ways away from the trade deadline, but where do you think the Yankees might go in that way? Would you think they go bullpen or try and go get a starting pitcher?
I think they're going to go get a starting pitcher, and I think they're in as good a position as any team in baseball to get what they need. They've saved so much money and got down under the luxury tax the last few years, which has been amazing how much they saved and still stayed in contention. They also have all the young players they need to go out and make a deal. I don't know who's going to be available out there. I don't know if Chris Archer is going to be out there. I don't know if Cole Hamels is going to be out there, but those are two guys you at least have to look at. And then you have to wonder if other guys, other teams fall out of the pennant race. Is there somebody that can really help the Yankees? I think it's a pretty small list of starting pitchers who could really make a difference for any team, including the Yankees. But I promise you, they're going to look everywhere because they know they can win the World Series with the team they have now. But if they add another starting pitcher, it certainly gives them a better chance to get to the World Series in a league that includes the Astros and the Red Sox.
Tim, Roger and Chris took today off, a long weekend for them, enjoying the golf course as they might be. So it's Brian Mariano and Eric Hanneman in for them this week. And you mentioned that the Yankees, and I've been so impressed with Gleyber Torres and the way that he's played this year. Could we see him as maybe an all-star? And obviously his thoughts, or your thoughts on him maybe being Rookie of the Year? Well,
he certainly got all-star possibilities here. And I would guess that along with Shohei Ohtani, those are the two top candidates for Rookie of the Year in the American League. What this kid has done is remarkable. He hit fifth the other day. The last Yankee that young to hit fifth in a Major League game was John Ellis in 1969. And it's not just what he's doing at the plate. Aaron Boone told me the other day, again, he has solidified our infield defense with the way he's played second base. And don't forget, he's a shortstop who's playing second base, and the way he has adjusted to that position has been nothing short of amazing.
Tim, let's talk about the Mets here for a second. Adrian Gonzalez holding down first base currently, but there's two guys in the minor leagues right now, Dom Smith in AAA, and you also have Peter Alonso matching it. We've seen Brandon Nimmo outdo his minor league numbers, so a lot of Mets fans are calling to see one of those two. When do you think the Mets will make the change and give one of those two a chance at everyday first base at-bats?
Well, that's a really tricky thing to do when you have veteran players playing in the big leagues. Who's going to go sit? Adrian Gonzalez just go away. What do you do with veteran outfielders? It's not that easy. But this is where GMs, farm directors, even managers, earn their keep. Is this guy ready or not? Are we going to hurt him if we bring him up now and he fails? Is he ready or isn't he? And the beauty of baseball is we're never quite sure. Believe me, they told me Nomar Garciaparra wasn't ready to play in the big leagues, and he had one of the great rookie years ever. They told me Derek Jeter wasn't ready to play in the big leagues. He had one of the great rookie seasons ever. I always find that the great players always figure it out. The question is, are the guys we're talking about here, are they great young players or are they not? We'll see.
ESPN baseball analyst Tim Kurkjian here on Big Board Sports, brought to you by the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And Tim, let's stay on the Mets as well. And I've been kind of hot about them possibly trading away some of their pitching. And I know that Noah Syndergaard's younger. He'll be under control for quite some time. And I know Roger asked you this a couple of weeks ago, but at some point, don't you think that they have to try and trade away a Jacob deGrom to try and rebuild this team? Because I'm not sure they're that close to making the playoffs anytime soon.
I disagree. I disagree in that I would not trade Jacob deGrom, and I would not trade Noah Syndergaard under any circumstances. Both these guys are not good. They are great. And even though they've had trouble, Lee Syndergaard lately staying healthy, if you're going to be any good in Flushing, you need to keep both of those guys, and you find other ways to improve that team. Trading them wouldn't make any sense. Not many teams have two guys top who are that talented, that young, and under control still. So I wouldn't move either one of them. I would find another way to get better. And they're not hopelessly out of this by any means. They just have to play better with the guys they have.
Fair enough, Tim. Fair enough. From an NL franchise that's somewhat struggling to a team that's one of the best teams in baseball, and the Boston Red Sox, they've been hot as of late, and their pitching starting to come around. In my opinion, they are probably the best team in the American League. Agree or disagree?
The best team in the American League for me is the Astros. And even though the Red Sox and the Yankees are right there, three elite teams, I just saw the Astros again the other night, and their starting pitching is not good. It's historically good. Their offense, which is great, hasn't even gotten going yet, and they have some power arms in that bullpen. Now, the big key for the Astros is, are they going to go get another closer, or is Ken Giles their closer of the future? My guess, it will be the former. I think they're going to go get a closer before the trade deadline, and I think that's going to make them the team to beat in the American League. But I repeat, the Red Sox can win the World Series with the team they have now, and so can the Yankees. But it's going to be tough to beat the Astros in October with the starting pitching that they have.
Tim, you mentioned the great pitching in Houston and how great a team they are. You go out to the West Coast, and Clayton Kershaw comes back last night and leaves a little bit early with some back tightness, now looking at an MRI today. Are we starting to see Clayton Kershaw kind of come to the second or the back nine of his career?
Well, he's only 30, so I find that hard to believe, but I think you're right. These injuries now are adding up, and eventually they wear people down. And when it's a back injury for a pitcher like him who has a delivery like that, and this back keeps coming back, that's a really bad sign. Now, I refuse to believe that he won't be great again. I refuse to believe he's going to retire early like Sandy Koufax did. I think he's going to figure out a way to keep himself healthier. And I don't know how he's going to do that, but he's so competitive. His work ethic is unprecedented. So I think he'll find a way. But is there concern? Yes, there should be concern, because this is 3 years in a row that he's been hurt.
Tim Kurkjian with us, brought to you by the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And Tim, I was able to attend the National Baseball Hall of Fame Classic last week. I got to be around a lot of great players, Hall of Famers like Eddie Murray, Ozzie Smith, Raleigh Fingers, Goose Gossage, Gaylord Perry, among other guys who actually played in the game. Shane Victorino won the MVP of the game, and A.J. Pierzynski won the Home Run Derby. And obviously, Tim, you've spent a lot of time in your career around great players. Have you ever attended a Hall of Fame Classic? And B, what's it like just being around all-time greats?
Well, I've been to Cooperstown a million times, and I've done the induction a bunch of times. I'm not sure if I've ever seen the actual Hall of Fame game before, but I've spent a lot of time around Hall of Famers. It is one of my favorite things in the world to do. They are on a different level when it comes to talent and, more important, competitive nature. Just remember that George Brett was on crutches once at the club's golf tournament many years ago. And some guy from the middle of the fairway, one of the Royals, decided to have a little fun and hit into the green, just for fun, from 150 yards away. So George Brett, on crutches, holding his putter, sees the ball coming at him from 150 yards away. He drops his crutches, and using only the blade of his putter, he hits an airborne golf ball back down the fairway 150 yards. I said, George, that's impossible. Nobody could do that. And he said, well, it was 1980, and that was the year he hit 390, and everything he swung at, he hit really hard.
Oh, my goodness, that is a tremendous story. And to think, like, Tim, I'm a golfer, so the hand-eye coordination to think about what these baseball players go through, the ball that I'm hitting isn't moving, and to tell the story of George Brett hitting one that's coming at him is absolutely tremendous. Tremendous stuff.
Well, thank you. And again, baseball is the hardest game in the world to play. To me, golf a very close second. And the hand-eye coordination of our best baseball players, especially our Hall of Famers, is just ridiculous to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Kurkjian brings it every week here on Big Board Sports at 10:30. ESPN baseball analyst, brought to you by the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Tim, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, guys. See you.